If there's one thing you should know about Morgan Freeman, it's this: he has no patience for being handed race-based political narratives simply because of the color of his skin. He's Morgan Freeman, not your spokesperson, therapist, or sociology professor. But apparently, someone forgot to mention that to The View. They invited him on the show, only to deliver what can best be described as a televised hit-and-run on his dignity. First, they gave him a paltry 5 minutes, less time than it takes to microwave a frozen lasagna. Then, instead of highlighting his new documentary, they tried to steer the conversation straight into the murky waters of politics. It was like inviting Shakespeare over and asking him to ghostwrite your tweets. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Roll the clip, watch closely, and get ready to cringe.
There have been, if I remember correctly, 6 extinction-level events on the planet since life began. I mean, 6 times. Large portions of life. Not human life we're talking just life. Gone, destroyed. We're headed for another one. Scientists have said if we don't hurry up and change our ways, there's going to be a cataclysmic event that will wipe many of us off the face of the earth.
The View is really playing with fire when it comes to Morgan Freeman. And let's be honest, if you're going to walk a thin line with someone, Morgan Freeman is not the guy to test. This is the man who can narrate penguins waddling through Antarctica and make it sound like the climax of a Shakespearean tragedy. Yet here they are, poking the bear while he's just trying to promote his documentary, Life on Our Planet. Now, to be fair, both that documentary and the follow-up discussion on Black history naturally touch on topics that can veer into political territory. Environmentalism and race relations are basically express lanes to heated debates. But let's tap the brakes a bit on the doomsday rhetoric surrounding climate change. The whole extinction-level event narrative? That kind of catastrophe typically happens once every tens of millions of years. Sure, the dinosaurs had a rough time, but let's not pretend your Prius is about to cause the next meteor strike. Yes, human-caused climate change, anthropogenic, if you want to impress people at parties, has been accelerating for about 2 centuries. And yes, it deserves serious attention. But during that segment, the panel was practically selling front-row seats to the end of the world. Even the most extreme scientific projections put us at 2 to 4 degrees Celsius of warming. That's not trivial, it's significant. But it's a far cry from, pack your bags, the asteroid is coming. The deeper concern here is that modern environmentalism sometimes strays into a strangely anti-human, anti-growth narrative. As if humanity itself is the supervillain in some Marvel origin story. And watching the View's panel, you can't help but pick up on that undertone, doom-laden prediction served with a heavy side of guilt-tripping.
It is because life is tenacious. Life. We're not talking about human beings here. We're talking about the planet.
Yeah.
She'll stay.
Yeah. Well, it's tenacious if we would just leave it alone. Leave it alone. And the human interruption of all of that is what's causing all the problems. I hope that it's not too late.
See what I mean? The moment you make the planet the main character, humans inevitably get cast as the mustache-twirling villain. That's exactly the narrative Joy Behar parroted, straight out of the far-left environmentalist playbook. And you could practically see Morgan Freeman's soul exhale in disappointment. That was not the detour he wanted, and definitely not the interpretation of his documentary he signed up for. Here's the reality: over 99% of all species that have ever existed on Earth are already extinct. Dinosaurs, trilobites, giant sloths, you name it. Gone. Life on Earth is basically a cosmic game of whack-a-mole. But the planet itself? This rock is tougher than a stale bagel. It survived ice ages, meteor strikes, and yes, even the fashion choices of the 1980s. And I wish I were joking, but there's now a fringe movement online advocating for the voluntary extinction of the human race, as a way to save the planet. Apparently, the solution is for all of us to politely exit stage left so Earth can have some alone time. It's the environmental equivalent of breaking up with someone by saying, "It's not you." It's literally every human alive. This is what happens when a good, necessary idea, caring for the planet, gets pushed so far it buckles under the weight of its own extremism. And Morgan Freeman? He clearly wants no part of that. Honestly, same here. I'm all for saving the Earth, but I'd kind of like to stick around afterward and enjoy it.
I want to ask you about a different document.
Go ahead.
As some politicians around the country try to erase Black history, you're making sure people don't forget vital parts of our past.
Yeah.
including this documentary that you executive produced called 761st. Did I get that right? Yeah, 761st Tank Battalion, the original Black Panthers, about the first Black battalion to fight in World War II.
First Black Armored Battalion.
Yes.
You could almost taste the awkward tension in that panel. It was like everyone suddenly realized they'd just been gently corrected by Morgan Freeman, and no one wanted to be the first to make eye contact. I mean, come on. The man has more gravitas in his pinky than the entire studio combined. And what did they give him? 5 minutes. 5. That's barely enough time for Morgan Freeman to finish a sentence, let alone unpack an entire documentary. Honestly, it felt less like an interview and more like speed dating with Morgan Freeman, except instead of romance, you get unsolicited political framing. And here's the kicker, Sonny Hostin, not Austin, though that does sound like a diet soda, pulled the exact same move Joy Behar did earlier. Different documentary, same bait and switch, this time with his film on Black history. They tried to cast Freeman as the reluctant mascot for whatever social message they were trying to push. And you could see him politely but firmly pushing back. It's like inviting Gordon Ramsay to your kitchen and handing him a microwave burrito. You just don't do that. The whole thing revealed how badly they misread the room. Morgan Freeman doesn't need their narrative. He is the narrative.
And start in the 40s and move up. And how many times did I see Black people in the movies? And if I did see them, what were they doing?
Yeah. There were servants. They were always. I know it's appalling.
I can give you the name.
If you watch old movies, Betty Davis movies, particularly, even though she's great, and
It's the period.
it's not her
of time
fault.
that
It's
the
the
movies
period.
were made.
It's
just
upsetting
what they
to
were
watch.
doing.
Tell you the
Well,
truth.
it shouldn't be that way
It
because
is.
somebody did make money.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there it was. That's the time.
It's really simple. You can't make someone feel like a victim if they've already decided they're not going to play that role. And that is exactly what I admire about Morgan Freeman. The man carries the quiet confidence of someone who refuses to lug around baggage that isn't his. Think I'm exaggerating? Go back and watch that old 60 Minutes interview. It's practically a masterclass in dismantling the victim narrative, delivered with nothing but calm common sense and a voice so steady, it could convince you to refinance your mortgage.
How are we going to get rid of racism on
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
No one on that panel could even muster a real disagreement with him. And how could they? The man has lived it all. Born in 1937, now 84, Morgan Freeman has watched the arc of American culture bend, twist, and reshape itself over generations. That kind of lived history isn't something you can fact-check on Google, it's etched into his perspective. And that's why everything he says carries so much weight. And he's right, art is a mirror of its culture, and culture is always in motion. What feels groundbreaking today may seem outdated tomorrow, and that's part of the beauty. To drag the past into the courtroom of modern morality isn't just short-sighted, it's a disservice to the artists who paved the way. You don't honor history by rewriting it with today's hashtags. And I'd bet good money Morgan Freeman doesn't want that fate for himself either. When history remembers him, and it will, he should be seen in the fullness of his time, not flattened into a footnote filtered through tomorrow's outrage.